Good afternoon everybody, and welcome to an impromptu video in the name of citizen journalism. Hope everybody's doing fine. I hope everybody's doing okay. I hope they've got into the week in fine fettle and in a serene fashion. I did, thank you very much. And I'm just on my way back home now, having had to do some usual sort of chores and stuff. And on my way out the door to the bus stop, I noticed something that I documented or talked about a few years ago when certain blocks were put in place, and in that time when things were kept out of sight, i.e. in the outdoors, they were getting up to stuff like this. I say they, we all know what I mean. Now this is going on, of course, throughout Bournemouth. I did a load of so-called, or what I called, roadworks videos going back to 2020, and basically it's, of course, the whole roadworks rollout, for want of a better phrase, does work in lock, stock and tandem. You what, mate? Sorry, mate. Never mind. Not used to people saying thank you here in Bournemouth. They normally give you a stern look, whether you're holding the door open for someone or just moving out the way in the path. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so they have been getting up to this now constantly and consistently since 2020. Okay, mate. Yes, and there's nothing spectacular about roadworks per se. I get that. Oh, it's a roadworks. So what? You know, oh, it's smoke coming out of an aeroplane. So what? You know, oh, water bends around the globe. We have gravity to explain that. So what? Yeah, but actually, when you look at it a little bit deeper, in other words, look at it a bit more properly, and bear in mind what else is going on in terms of narrative, you can kind of start to see where an increase in this tends to happen simultaneously with an increase in another narrative, which could then explain. I'm talking hypothetically here and purely metaphorically, of course. This is in an absolute dream world that's never happened, but let's, for argument's sake, say you were so fantasyful and had so much imagination as to imagine that rolling out a system using certain tech could be the real reason for ailments. Of course, we then but blame those ailments on things harboured in little metal vessels off the coastline somewhere. Do you get where I'm going? Exactly the same thing that happened 6 years ago. In fact, the same thing that happened throughout the period of the so-called Blitz era of World War II in England, when they kept people off the streets. That's something that we could talk about in future videos, because it's yet another thread of lies that go through the annals, I nearly said, of our history books that our kids unfortunately have to eat. Anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to demonstrate here what they're doing. They're doing it quite speedily. They're actually doing work. I mean, I know myself and Sandra, my girlfriend, have been talking about this for a long time, about how a lot of these so-called building sites seem to be more nuisance operations to feed into the aggravated, irritated kind of vibe of society in general, right? Add into that some bad weather and up some prices and make the news all negative, and then you've got yourself a whole package of misery, haven't you? And people are very malleable. Sorry, mate. People are very malleable when they're down and when they're miserable, and they'll take anything, no matter what it is, almost, as a solution to ease their imaginative, really, struggles. Because a lot of this is in people's minds, really. A lot of it, if we just, you know, in my opinion that is, did the right thing for ourselves, we might have different outcomes or much slower rollouts of things like this. But there are way too many people who still buy the, I'm very sorry, I seem to be the only spot in Bournemouth where everybody wants to walk past. What was I saying? I've lost track totally now because, yeah, I took a wrong spot there to stand. But you get my drift, right? So this has been going on now for 2 years, that there. I did an interview with a chap, Eric I think his name was, who worked on the site, and this is now nearly complete. They've done the main tower bit. While they were cleaning all that next to this building, they actually added a brand new building with slightly darker brickwork and all the rest of it. You can tell it's way more up to date, but nevertheless they've done some hard work there. Then in the street here to our left, where it says diversion there, that yellow sign, that is a road called Lansdowne Road, and that also has been, or is being revamped / has been revamped. And now they're at this part here, which will be closed until foreseeably the 22nd of May. But like I said, there is way more to the story when you stand back and take a look, the bigger picture, than just the simple roadworks. And I kind of, you know, I really want people to kind of get that and understand that. You know, I'm not talking rabbit hole stuff here, but just be aware. You know, there's so many things going on at the moment. You know, another interesting little quirk. This is going a little bit off tangent, but it isn't in a some sort of weird way. Because at the end of it, it's the same culprits, right? But should I mention it now? Yeah, I will do actually. I was watching the football over the weekend, and it's another thing I've been discussing with my girlfriend, is how it's now becoming blatantly obvious in professional football, soccer that is, for all my American friends, that the system, as it were, you know, the square and compass worshipping people, not just worshipping, but you know what I mean, by way of watching the players, how they celebrate, and the signage they're giving to the camera. Now, they either celebrate normal with the fans when they score a goal, and then afterwards, when the players are off them and they jog back to the middle or whatever to restart, they then take a moment to do a Masonic pose into the camera. But actually, you know, it's got so bad now, and I was looking at some old footage of players, footballers that is, doing goal celebrations back in the day when I grew up watching football. So we're talking the 80s here, a long time ago. But you know, and in the 1980s, some players were only on a few £100s a week, and they were pro footballers through apprenticeship schemes and all that sort of stuff. There was a different thing in play because there was very little TV coverage compared to today. Right? Today, it's clearly a huge commercial market, professional football, and as soon as that happens, it needs controlling. And that's exactly what's happened. And now you see players, when they score goals, for example, when they do their celebrations, it's all one-eyed symbolism and as above, so below, and Baphomet and all that sort of stuff, you know. And it's just become, for me, anyway, absolutely sickening. You know, it's something I'm beginning to not feel well around when I watch it. I'll be absolutely honest with you. It's not paranoia. It's what it is. What it is. You know, it's what it is. You know, it's a bit like with the whole flat Earth debate. Forget flat Earth or flat earther, or forget that phrase at all. If we measure Earth flat for things like to navigate, for example, right? We have to, and everything is flat measurements. Everything, no curves in sight. Then that's the way it simply is. That's not an opinion. That's not a feeling or anything like that, or a belief. It's just the way it is. And either you understand that and you crack on and maybe look at it a bit more and go, oh yeah, right, actually, you know, everything is measured flat, and all maps that we read are depicting a flat, yes, with hills and mountains, but you have deviations of the horizontal. But we always build, for example, perpendicular to the horizontal when we build houses. Always. That's what spirit levels are for. Right? Etc., etc. But that's the way things are. Nobody can hit me with the stick of being a flat earther. I'm not suggesting I am or I'm not. I'm just stating facts. And that's that. So where are you going to go with that now? Do you know what I mean? And that's the point I've got to now. All this stuff here, if you're aware of it, great. Because I think being aware of it helps ease the burden of coping with, you know, well, are our politicians so bad that they don't learn through all these generations, nothing seems to change? Well, you're expecting it to change because you don't understand how it works. Right? This here is all in line with an ongoing agenda. And I mark my words when I say there will be ailments, and it will be blamed on other stuff, and that other stuff will be then used because of those ailments as proof of existence, of validity, and then we're going to be in that shit cycle again. Well, I ain't. And anybody in my circle of friends who will or do fall for this, well, it's without me. No can do, to quote a nice old track. Anyway, on that note, I thought I would just bring that to you, just to update you on kind of what's going on. And I'm sure if you went around your own neighbourhoods, you will see this sort of thing going on no matter where you are, and no matter what country you're in or whatever. I saw it in Germany when I was over there in Cologne, or near Cologne, same thing. So, anyway, there you go. That's a bit of a citizen journalistic little update of the area of Bournemouth called Lansdowne, specifically right next to the college, that would fit in Venice, would it not? Okay, on that note, I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will see you all soon. Some of you much sooner. Until then, take it all easy, and ta-ta for now.